You know, there is a saying that every failure is a success every failure is a stepping stone to a successful life. Trust in God. That's very important, that there's somebody who's guiding us and who's giving us the strength and courage and leading us that path. And those days back in India, it's such a rigid time. Being girls was so overly protective.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Lost Art of Storytelling. My name is Ethel Salins, and today I'm interviewing Ethel Salins, who is my grandmother. Grandma, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Oh, what a pleasure you have given me by taking me to this journey of being interviewed by you.
All right, so let's get started with our first question.
Awesome.
Grandma, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
I was born in India, Udupi, and that is Udupi is in South Canada, but I was raised in Bombay all my life. And it was a different time. It was in the 50s and 60s, so time was so different.
Oh, what's a favorite childhood memory that you have?
My favorite childhood memories are when I was my daddy's girl. And there's nothing that whatever I say and do was always right by my father. And being daddy's girl, whatever I asked for, even though he could not buy it, I always had it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That means that I wasn't spoiled, but I was loved by him far too much.
And what was it like growing up in India in the 1950s and 60s?
It was so different. Times were so relaxed. We didn't have the pressure of the TVs or the pressure of social media. Um, things were things were um, things were so laid back. The growing up there was so much fun. We When you have friends, they genuinely are your friends. They will stand by you through thick and thin. And you know, we never used to lock our doors. The doors were always open. People would come and go, and of course, there was no phones, and so people never called. They just showed up at your door front. So those were the times when you felt safe, much safer than what we feel now. Nowadays, you are even scared sometimes to look at a person because you never know what triggers them and makes them go crazy. And everybody carries guns, and so the confidence level, the trust is so low now. People don't even trust their own family members, and that's a sad part.
Did you have any siblings growing up?
Yes. We are four kids. I have an older brother. I was the second one. Then I have my sister, and then I have my younger brother. We are 2 years apart.
So then from your childhood, how did you meet your husband?
That is an interesting question. Back then, there was no such thing as love marriage. Parents had to arrange your marriages. And your grandpa, it was a family, friends, and we knew one another. Not we, but the parents, my parents and his parents knew one another. And of course, again, there was a distance from where we lived to, they were in the south side of India, and we were in Bombay, that is way north of India, right? And apparently his mother, that is my mother-in-law, always wanted, ever since she has seen me grow up, she had a thing that I should be her daughter-in-law. And they came and they asked my father. Those days, the consent of the parents and family members was very important just before the girl's marriage. And my dad had an older brother, and they consented together, and they decided that, your grandpa was the man that I should marry. And, so that was one of the things that, and then your grandpa moved to Bombay, and we were not allowed to date or anything like that. No such thing as dating, especially with my father being extremely, extremely conservative and very strict. Forget about anything. We couldn't even stand in front of guys and talk. In fact, to such an extent that he made me go to a girls' college. So, can you picture the the setting?
Yeah. And what brought you out of India?
After marriage, your grandpa wanted to go to further studies to do his master's and then to pursue his PhD. And he had applied to many, many universities in United States as well as in Canada. And of course, a lot of rejections were there. And in Canada, McGill University was the one that accepted him. So then he decided that's where he wants to go. And to pursue his career, his education, he went to Canada. And then I was doing my final year nursing, BSN nursing. And I had to wait. Of course, the visa was another issue. So I had to wait back and then finish my education. And then I worked for a while at a hospital back in India. And then I joined your grandpa. That was almost about a year and a half to 2 years later.
So he was in Canada, and then you stayed back in India for 1.5 to 2 years
Right.
while he was in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. After those 2 years, did you move to Canada with him?
Yes, I did. He didn't come to pick me up, but this was the first time I'm taking a journey. And those days back in India, it's such a rigid time. Being girls was so overly protective, and parents were extremely strict. So, of course, they wouldn't let me go without getting married. Of course, we had gotten married by then. And that was my first, very, very first trip away from family, away from my parents, away from everyone, and I went to Canada on my own.
And what did it feel like moving away from home?
Oh, especially moving away from home, but especially leaving my dad. And that was the worst for me. I can never forget how, like a baby, my father was sobbing when I left. And even at the airport, when it was time to say goodbye, my dad was a basket case. He just did not have the courage to see me in my eyes and say goodbye to me.
And when you moved to Canada, what was life like there?
Canada lifestyle. When we moved to Canada, it was totally different. Those days, immigrations also was very, very extremely tough, and both of us were professionals. And when we moved to Canada, your grandpa was a student at McGill University, and that's in Montreal. And I couldn't work because of my visa, and then plus, I had to give their state board over there. Starting with nothing in hand, and then being a student's wife, with no proper income coming in, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. We had the most toughest time at that time. We were, we had rented an apartment. I shouldn't say it was an apartment. Actually, it was the basement, and it was converted into a room, and that's all we could afford at that moment. We didn't even have proper furnitures in the house. We had a TV that was on the roadside in the trash, and it was only with two channels were working on that, and one was Flintstone, which became my famous cartoon channel, and the other one was what is that, Tom and Jerry show. So I survived with that, and we were living worse than hand to mouth over there, and the times were so tough that we couldn't even the apartment complex where we were living. Their basement was a basement with this like a studio house, a studio room, and on the other side was the laundry system and the garbage
Shoot.
room where the garbage comes there, and it is for the entire apartment complex. So we couldn't even afford money to use a washer and dryer. So I used to hand wash my clothes in the tub, and dry. I had a cloth line put in, and I had to dry the clothes. So it was a very tough situation those days.
And were either you or Grandpa working at the time?
Grandpa was not having a job that gave us a full salary, but he was a student again, okay, and he was picking up just a little bit of money here and there, helping the professors, with menial jobs, like, during the examination time, handing the papers, those kind of things. And he was a student doing his master's at that time. I couldn't work.
And when did you find out that you were pregnant with my dad at the time?
In 1978, I was pregnant with the first one, and that's your dad. And things were so different. We were excited. At the same time, we were scared that we are going to be a parent. How are we going to support financially? And there were a lot of incidences during my pregnancy that I don't know whether you guys want to hear, but there were a lot of incidences where, being pregnant plus not having a full-time job was a big letdown for me, which even till today, it has traumatized me much that, little things at that moment, at that 9 months frame, was not something that was for me, something that, I want to remember. Some of the things I just want to forget. It was that tough a life for us. We could hardly, to an extent, just one specific thing. Coming from India, we never had all these McDonald's those days, this fast food places. So Dad, your grandpa, and myself, we had gone for a walk. It was an evening time. I was pregnant. And we were taking a walk on Kresge Street in Montreal. And the aroma of French fries was making me so, craving for that French fries. And I asked your grandpa, oh, that smells so good. I wonder what that is. So he explained to me. And he said, do you want to eat? And I said, yeah. And I said, yes, I would love to. And we went to the McDonald's walkthrough, and I seen your grandpa was searching his pocket for money to pay for that. And when I seen that, when I seen that in him, I said, at that moment, I told him, I said, at that moment, I told him, it's okay. My craving is gone. I don't want it. Because I knew Grandpa didn't have money and I didn't want to do. So there was a lot of give and take between your grandpa and me because we really understood one another very well.
Did becoming a mother in a new country change you at all?
Yes, it did change me. Things we take so much for granted when you're with your family or when you have help, that wasn't there for me. So that made me feel like, from the time I landed to Canada until the birth, it just opened up my eyes to say that, you're on your own. Take care of everything on your own. Financially, we were strapped, and plus, we had no help. So I had to uh, do so many things that usually we take for granted when it's given to us. And that has made me realize that how humble we need to be in life and appreciate what we have because life does not give you everything you want when you need, at instant.
And what kept you motivated during the tough times?
You know, there is a saying that every failure is a success every failure is a stepping stone to a successful life. And that is what it was. I became tough. I was a very protective child in my parents' house. Then I had to learn all this on my own. So what happened is it made me have confidence in myself, which back those days, uh, because you're so protective, everything is told to you or done for you. And now you are on your own, having a life of your own, with your own, starting your own family with no family help. You navigate. You navigate through tough times. The only thing was, there were times when I wanted to just give this all up and walk away, maybe go back home. There were times. There were times when I used to shed tears and say, what are we here for? Life is too tough. But something in me kept going, and I had so many hurdles in life that I could have given up and gone back, or you fight and face it. And what I did was I fought it and I faced it, and that has made me a very confident, independent, courageous, and also spiritual person now.
And after you gave birth to my dad, how long did you stay in Canada for?
We moved to United States in 78. So I was there approximately 2 years, a year and a half. I'm bad with dates and years, but I can tell you the events. So I moved to states in to Florida in 1978. I believe it is August or July end.
And what made you move from Canada to Florida?
One was extreme weather. Canada was a beautiful place, but the weather was not for me. Even now, I'm always cold. So the snow over there, and I could not take it. I just didn't like the snow over there. But other than that, it was a beautiful place. We were in a college campus. A hospital from Florida, I happened to see an ad in the newspaper, and that ad was asking for nurses, and they had come to Canada, to Montreal for an interview uh, to recruit the nurses. And I took a chance, and I was pregnant at that time. I was scared that they are not going to accept me, but I took a chance, and they, the hospital from Miami, uh, I don't want to name the hospital, but a big hospital from Miami, recruited and sponsored me, and they helped me to also get my sponsorship for United States.
And what was the transition from Montreal to Florida like?
It was a big challenge and a change. Florida weather is what attracted me because I come from a country with tropical weather, and that was the main thing that attracted me. Second thing was I had a job. I had a job which made a whole lot of difference, and 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 also, uh, I wasn't planning to go back to India after what I went through. So the fighting spirit in me kept me, in Florida, and said, no matter what happens, I'm going to face it.
So, Grandma, and who are some people who helped you through tough times in Florida?
Oh my God. They are the angels in my life. I'm going to tell you this because I know you would love to hear uh, about your dad and all that. Okay. When I moved to Florida, your dad was 2 months old, baby. And we had, as I said many times, we had no resources of any kind, no friends, no family. So, and as you know, Grandpa was a student, and we moved to Florida, and I had to work in the hospital that had sponsored me. Meanwhile, I was, and meanwhile, at the same time, your grandpa had to return back to Canada to finish his thesis. And he couldn't stay in Florida because he was in between his thesis. And at that moment, I was looking for a babysitter. And I called one of the ad. It so happened that the lady who had advertised in the paper was not. Oh, the glitch here is I wanted somebody to come and pick the baby up and drop the baby after hours. So because we didn't have a car, and this lady who had put the ad in the newspaper was I spoke to her, and she said, I'm sorry, I cannot come and pick the kid up. And at that moment, I was devastated, and I said, we don't have a car. We just moved here, and do you know anybody that would do that for me, please? And at that moment, she said, give me a couple of hours. Let me ask my mother-in-law. And her mother-in-law and her father-in-law were elderly couple. Um, they were in the business selling tobaccos and coffee in Miami area. She agreed to come and pick the baby up and drop the baby. And that was the start of, of new vision for me because we called them Mama Papa, and they were much more than Mama Papa, much more to me and Grandpa They were like an angel God sent to us at the time of our need, because even our parents could not come to help us out, but they were there. And your father was so much loved by them. They were, in fact, his first birthday was also celebrated in their house. They couldn't say Sheldon, so they used to call him Don. Don. They were such loving couples, and I I worship them. I worship that name will never fade away from me till my last breath.
And what are some things that they did to help you?
Not only did they pick the baby up, they were more grandparents to him than his actual grandparents, his bloodline grandparents. So what they did is there were times when just for few extra bucks, I used to work double shifts, and plus I was studying for my state board exam, United States board nursing state board exam, and so there were times. At that time, your grandpa had gone back to Canada, so it was just me with the 2-month-old baby, and I used to go to work 20 blocks. I used to walk to work, and they there were times when Mama Papa kept your dad with them, and they never were greedy for money. They were not that filthy rich either, but the genuine love, the genuine humanity that they showed me is what has just left me speechless. There were times when, I wanted to pay her extra, and, she never took that money. She used to rip the check up and do it for free, and little things like that. It was big matter for them because they were doing it for money, but still it wasn't, their focus was not money. Their focus was the love for this child, and this child was not even anywhere close to their family line. But the genuine love, that's where I learned that, there are really nice people in life, and if you have faith in God, He shows us the way, and He navigates you through tough times, and
Yeah, that's very, very inspiring. Thank you, Grandma. Well, fast forward a few years, and what was life like raising your second and third sons in Florida compared to raising my dad in Montreal?
Papa, you got to remember, um, we were working family, and there was no help. Again, there was no help of any kind. Um, it was a challenge, definitely a challenge, but at that time, financially, we were not that bad like when I was having your dad. Financially, we were stable.
And were you working at the time?
Yes, I was. I was working, and I was working ever since I moved to Florida.
Okay.
I've never quit working. There was not a time or day that I never worked. Okay, so I've always worked till I retired lately, and you know, um, having 3 small boys, of all the things, 3 boys, and people always say that raising boys was tough. I wouldn't agree with that. For me, raising boys was one of the best thing I had done. I was extremely strict, very disciplined. Um, the colleagues of mine used to say that, if you're this strict, the kids will run away, the kids will go to jail. But by God's grace, nothing like that happened. No, I couldn't give my kids designer thing, but they had hand-me-downs. Then they had clothes and shoes and toys only what we can afford, and they didn't have it like from big box stores like Macy's or Nordstrom. They got it from shops like Jefferson at that time, those kind of stores. But they they were never deprived, but they were not, spoiled to an extent where they demanded that they need to have this. And because of that way I had raised the kids, one is because we couldn't afford designer things. Another thing is it's discipline also. That just because somebody's having a designer thing doesn't mean that I'm going to break my bank and go get it for one child or any other child, for crying out loud. So they also was not, the kids were not demanding. And now, because of maybe those days, now by God's grace, all three children are successful with a beautiful family. You are one of my amazing oldest grandson that has made me relive my life again. And now I have three grandchildren and one granddaughter, very well disciplined. And, all this is because I didn't have it, but my kids were success. Kids were given education. I focused a lot on education. As you all know, Indian families always focus a lot on education, discipline, and that's what my kids had. And that was their success stories for them. But at least I'm happy that I gave them a strong foundation. My very important thing for me in life is respect and family time. And, for me, spending time with my children is the most, I think that's the best thing I can ask for. Nothing, I never asked for anything more.
Grandma, you're vegetarian. What prompted you to become a vegetarian? And when did you become a vegetarian?
Papa, I I don't know. I can't tell you the year I became vegetarian, but I've been a vegetarian for a long time now. Very long time. I myself don't know how many years has gone by. I was a heavy non-veg eater to a point where when I sorted the meat, I used to put it in my mouth. That's how much I was eating meat. Cold turkey, just before which year I cannot remember, but cold turkey, before Thanksgiving, I just stopped eating meat. What prompted is um, I I know there will be a lot of people saying that that's not true. I felt that it was an animal abuse. I'm an animal person, and I felt that it was an animal abuse to kill the animals. And me being a lover, big lover of animals, I could not picture myself being a non-veg, and I don't miss it at all. And I wish, that we wouldn't. I know you guys all love meat, chicken, but I wish you give it some more thought to, I don't want you all to become vegetarian if you don't want to, but at least think of why your grandma became a vegetarian.
So, your story, truly inspiring to us all. Um, what core lesson do you hope your children and grandchildren take from your story?
The main thing is, Papa, no matter what kind of hurdle comes your way, just don't give up. Nowadays, children give up so easily, and don't fight it. Fight it. Chill. Sometimes, even fighting, you think, oh, I'm not reaching anywhere. That's not true. Genuinely, when you go after that goal that you have in mind, it comes. Trust in God. That's very important, that there's somebody who's guiding us and who's giving us the strength and courage and leading us that path. That's another thing. And the third thing is be humble and, respectful. Be humble. Times have changed where things are taken in a different form. People are angry, you know. Uh, we don't have to be like that. You know. Be kind. Be be there for someone who really needs you, because I'm not telling help the whole world, which we can't do. But if you are genuinely trying to, we had that. There were genuine people in our life, like Mama, Papa, you know. And if you know that a person needs you, be there supportive to them. Don't bring them down when the times are tough. Always lift that other person up if you really care for that person. Don't hammer them down to a floor where they can't get out. And that's where humanity fails one another. And my thing is, don't let failure uh, push you backward. Failure should be a thing that you should fight it and show people that you can overcome that. Failure is not a losing preposition. It's something that will teach you to, to achieve your success with a smile.
Very inspiring. Just a quick question out of the blue. If you had a completely free day with no responsibilities, nothing to do, if you could do anything, what would you do?
I would go to the I would I would go to the rescue shelter for the animals. And the only reason I avoid going to that place, because I will end up bringing dogs home. And at this point, I can't keep up, because all the dogs that I had was a rescue dog. And they lived, 18 and a half years?
Yeah.
And another one was 13, 14 years? Yeah. So I would want to do something for the rescue shelters.
And what's a hobby that you're doing right now?
My hobby, at this age, I always wanted to learn how to crochet and never had the time because, I was so busy. Now I'm doing it, learning through YouTube. I'm not a social media person. I do not like to get into Facebook, but YouTube, I learned a lot. So, I don't, I do crochet. I love cooking. You can work to
Yeah,
that.
I love eating the food you cook.
I love cooking. And then most of all is I love spending time with the family. Every time I have to travel to you over here, every moment, every second in my life means so much, uh, so precious to me. And I think that's about it. And maybe there are things that, I must have forgotten. And, I'm not good with public speaking.
All right, so we're going to transition to the next part of my podcast. I call it Nate's 8. So, for those who don't know, Nate's 8, I'll be asking my grandma 8 rapid fire questions, and she will have to answer them off the top of her head
Oh,
and
wow.
explain why.
Oh, wow. This is teaser, real teaser. Okay.
All right, if you could have dinner with anyone, past, present, or future, who would it be?
My father.
And why's that?
My father was such a genuinely nice person. I have more of qualities of his in me. So
And what was the last book that you read?
honestly, I cannot read because I fall asleep. So I like to listen to, what is that iPad, and especially now I listen to more of Bible studies.
What is your favorite song? You don't have a favorite song? Favorite type of music?
I like soft, mellow musics. I do not like rap and noisy music.
What is your favorite movie?
What's that movie?
Movie, yeah.
I'm not a movie person, chica.
Huh. Okay. What's your favorite food?
As long as it's vegetarian, I love all kinds of all ethnic group food, and no meat, no meat.
If you could go back in time and say something to your younger self, what would you tell her?
I was a very shy, extremely quiet. I don't know. Maybe I should say that I had no confidence in myself, and you know, I would tell that self of me to look in the mirror now and you know tell look in the mirror and say what a drastic change this person has turned out to be. Right now, I think this is years of experience, years of hardship, years of uh, the things that we face has changed me to become a very confident, courageous, loving, humble human.
And what would you do if you could be anything other than a nurse? Or if you could have been anything other than a nurse?
I would have become a doctor,
Mm.
and especially, especially a PD doctor.
And what about something not in the medical field?
Not in the medical field. I don't think I could ever take a profession of a teacher because my patient level right now is zero. So maybe I would have become a cook.
Hmm.
I love baking, I love making different dishes, and I love eating too. So I would become a cook.
Yeah. All right. That's a wrap. Thank you so much, Grandma, for doing this. Your story was super inspiring.
And thank you, Papa, for having me because I feel so elate that grandson of mine, you have become such a handsome, amazing personality right now that I have only words that you know it it brings tears in my eyes to see that my grandson has become such an amazing person in life, and I wish you all the success, and also be there for your younger siblings and your cousins.
Yes.
Be a, you are a shining star for me, and I wish you all the best now and forever.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, Grandma. Love
Yeah,
you.
love you, Chica. Love you very much.